Guys, welcome back to English class. We're going to review the first three acts of Julius Caesar, and then we're going to start Act 4. There are only 5 acts left. You're almost there. You can do it. We're also going to learn about Caesar's ghost and take a look at the historical and cultural significance of why Shakespeare would include a ghost. And then we'll finish reading Act 4. The next meeting, we'll review Act 4. So don't submit your study guide until then so you can make sure you have all the right answers. Pun of the day today. I'm feeling positive today. See the positively charged battery? There you go. So, purpose is to learn how a text can be culturally and historically significant. Culturally meaning within the current culture in which the playwright wrote. So you think about what was going on in Shakespeare's day. And then historically significant, we're talking about what happened in ancient Rome. You're going to see how Shakespeare connects with both of them. So we're going to analyze the text to gain different perspectives by reading across a variety of text formats and mediums. And we're going to interpret and analyze works from a variety of genres for literary, historical, and cultural significance. That's what we're going to look at today, historical and cultural significance. So as we talked about, a quick review, Act 1 starts with we find out who is for and against Caesar as he comes home, brings all this land and all this treasure back to Rome. But some feel he is too ambitious, and some, like the common people, just love him because they want to party. And we talked about how important it was for Shakespeare to start to play with the commoners. He wanted to connect to his audience because they love Queen Elizabeth as well. He wanted to emphasize that the message is for the people. He wanted to show the perspective of the people and emphasize that they may have a choice if Queen Elizabeth falls, just like the Romans did when Caesar was assassinated. Act 2 was all about Brutus. We find out his decision. Of course, he decides to go along with the conspiracy and kill his best friend Caesar. Then Act 3 is really the climax. When the conspiracy works, they do assassinate Caesar, and then we have the funeral. We have the falling action, the aftermath, where unfortunately for the conspirators, they allowed Antony to speak. And he, of course, gives a roaring oration and uses lots of ethos. He had excellent evidence. Antony had the body of Caesar, which was all sliced and diced, so we could say, hey, did they really do this for the good of Rome? You know, this is pretty brutal. But more importantly, Antony had Caesar's will. And this brings a lot of passion because that was a lot of money, 75 drachmas, fair amount of money for each person that was bequeathed from Caesar to the people. And so Antony used logos, saying, is this really ambitious? Was Caesar really in it for himself, as Brutus said? You know, and so he wins over the people, and now Antony won over the people. The people want to kill the conspirators. All right. And so that's what we saw there. The crowd wanted a mutiny. We saw that they were pretty vicious. They killed a guy named Cinna just because his name was Cinna. It wasn't even the right one. He wasn't part of the conspiracy. And so we talked about how Shakespeare wanted to show that scene again to warn the people, don't be like the Romans. Don't be ignorant and bloodthirsty. So now we're going to move closer towards our learning target of analyzing this work for historical and cultural significance. We touched upon that a little bit. But one of the things that we can see is, again, the cultural significance, the connection to Shakespeare's audience is, again, they had a ruler whom they loved who was nearing death. And it's significant to their history because Shakespeare's warning them that chaos could erupt. Okay. And of course, the historical significance of this is actually, a lot of these things happened in ancient Rome. Shakespeare, used Plutarch's biography to write this play. So he didn't just make it up. And what I want you to do now, before we get into this last act, is I want you to think about the conflicts that Brutus and Cassius have had in the play so far. Remember, Cassius is the lead conspirator. He's the one that got Brutus on board. And I want you to go back and think about some of the disagreements they have had so far. And I want you to jot that down. So think about, for instance, all the way back in Act 2. And think about how there was somebody that Cassius wanted to have join the conspiracy. Think about how Brutus reacted. Think about really that decision regarding Mark Antony. Okay, the decision whether to kill him, the decision whether to allow him to speak. And I want you to reflect those conflicts that Brutus and Cassius have had so far. So what you should have written down is this idea back in Act 2. Cassius wanted Cicero to join, and Brutus says, well, he doesn't finish things. So already Brutus was trying to show that, all right, yes, I know you, Cassius, you have brought everyone together, but you need me for my honor. I'm going to step forward and be a leader. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it this way. Cicero doesn't finish things. We're not going to allow him to join the conspiracy. But most importantly, what I'm willing to bet a lot of you had was that Cassius wanted to kill Mark Antony. Cassius was very much afraid that, all right, if we kill Caesar, that may not be enough. Mark Antony could come back up and rise up against us, as he did. Brutus said, you know what, we're not butchers. We're not just killing people just to kill people. All right. We're going to do this honorably. We're doing it for the people. If we kill Caesar, Caesar's the head of the snake. You kill the head, the rest of the body dies. Antony is just a part of the body. So if we kill Caesar, Mark Antony won't be able to come up against us. Of course, he was very much wrong. And then, of course, Cassius, again, fearful of Mark Antony, didn't want him to speak. But Brutus allowed it to happen because he wanted to honor his best friend, Caesar. Okay. So again, Brutus is all about honor. Cassius is all about ambition, although Cassius was right in these regards. But this already shows that they had a conflict. And so we need to remember that just because they're part of the conspiracy didn't mean that they necessarily got along perfectly. And so the reason why we did that is for you to see the conflict within. All right. That's what I've entitled Act 4. It's kind of a transition act to get us to the final Act 5, where you will see a civil war break out. And what we're going to see here as we start reading Act 4 is we have three people in power leading the Roman world. Because remember, the conspirators were on the run. You're going to see where they flee, and you're going to find out what conflicts are within these three. Antony, Octavius, and Lepidus are the new triumvirate. Just as there was a triumvirate with Caesar, he, of course, killed one of his foes and the other one was kind of pushed aside. Now there's a new triumvirate because the Roman world is too vast. All right, the Roman world at this time looks like this. And so it's huge. You have most of France, most of Spain and Portugal, North Africa, Italy and Greece, all the way in here to Turkey. Okay, so it's too vast just to allow one to rule. So these three are going to meet, and you're going to see their conflict. Okay, the three decide who to kill. You'll see that Lepidus is sent to Caesar's house to get the will. Antony insults Lepidus and is power hungry, and Antony says that Lepidus must be taught and trained. So we're going to take a moment here and read through Act 4, Scene 1.
These many then shall die, their names are pricked.
Who must die. Consent you, Lepidus?
I do consent.
Prick him down, Antony.
Upon condition Publius shall not live. Who is your sister's son, Mark Antony?
He shall not live. With a spot I damn him. But Lepidus, go you to Caesar's house, fetch the will hither, and we shall determine how to cut off some charge and legacies.
What, shall I find you here?
Or here, or at the Capitol.
This is a slight, unmarriageable man, meet to be sent on errands. Is it fit, the threefold world divided, he should stand one of the three to share it?
So as you can see there, Antony and Octavius want to kick out Lepidus. They treat him like a dog. They say, hey, go fetch, go get Caesar's will. And Lepidus is like, where will you be when I get it? Oh, we'll be here at the Capitol, like wherever. Just get lost. All right. So already you should sense a bit of conflict. We're going to finish out this scene.
So you thought him, and took his voice, who should be pricked to die in our black sentence and proscription.
Octavius, I have seen more days than you. And though we lay these honors on this man to ease ourselves of divers slanderous loads, he shall but bear them as the ass bears gold, to groan and sweat under the business, either led or driven as we point the way. And having brought our treasure where we will, then take we down his load and turn him off, like to the empty ass, to shake his ears, and graze in commons.
You may do your will, but he's a tried and valiant soldier.
So as you're starting to see here, Antony is claiming to Octavius that Lepidus must be taught and trained. We don't have any time for him.
So is my horse, Octavius, and for that I do appoint him store of provender. It is a creature that I teach to fight, to wind, to stop, to run directly on, his corporal motion governed by my spirit, and in some taste is Lepidus but so. He must be taught and trained and bid go forth, a barren-spirited fellow, one that feeds on objects, arts, and imitations, which, out of use and staled by other men, begin his fashion. Do not talk of him but as a property. And now, Octavius, listen great things. Brutus and Cassius are levying powers. We must straight make head. Therefore let our alliance be combined, our best friends made, our means stretched, and let us presently go sit in council, how covert matters may be best disclosed, and open perils surest answered.
Let us do so, for we are at the stake, and bayed about with many enemies, and some that smile have in their hearts, I fear, millions of mischiefs.
Okay, so what you need to do now is take a moment and you're going to go to the Act 4 study guide. And again, we just saw the conflict within. This time we're taking a look at Antony, Octavius, and Lepidus, the new triumvirate. And you should have seen here, they decide whom to kill. That was something interesting. They made prescriptions where they made a list of everyone associated with the conspiracy. It says, these men shall die, their names are pricked. And anybody who was associated with the conspiracy, they gave a prescription, meaning that they would make basically pamphlets, send them all throughout Rome. And if you saw that person, they were like, a deer in the woods. You could kill them without any regard for the law. There would be, nobody would arrest you for murder or anything like that. So basically, these people were walking around with a target on their back, not knowing who or when somebody might kill them. All right. And as we saw there, Lepidus was sent to go to Caesar's house to get the will. They treat him like a dog. Antony says Lepidus must be taught and trained. It says, in some taste is Lepidus, but so he must be taught and trained and bid go forth. And so they're planning an attack. Okay, we're going to stop there.